It's been 15 years since I've levelled in what is undoubtedly the scariest zone in a game not normally known for its horror content. The world of Warcraft is a colourful, often comical place, but this zone is none of those things. It is a land of nightmares, where giant spiders and ravenous wolves should be the least of your concerns. The accursed Worgen and the restless dead stalk the shadows, and monstrous abominations stand astride the road, slaying all who would seek to pass. Not even the towns are safe, and it is not uncommon for a foul necromancer to trap innocent travellers down the chimneys of abandoned houses. Those bastards. I'm Vulgrin, and today we continue our fresh vanilla WoW adventure into what is quite possibly the greatest zone in all of classic World of Warcraft. A zone unlike any other, with compelling, dynamic events, a cast of colourful, memorable characters, and an atmosphere without equal. It is my absolute pleasure to invite you to follow me into the darkness of Duskwood. As a complete and utter fanboy of the stylised, instantly recognisable art of classic World of Warcraft, I found it impossible to wipe the stupid grin off my face when I finally crossed that bridge from Redridge into Duskwood, and suddenly everything went dark faster than the plot of a From Software game. The way in which visually and thematically distinct zones transition between each other in WoW is an underappreciated piece of magic which never fails to give me the thrill of asking, so where are we now? In Duskwood, this sense of change is stronger than anywhere else. The moment the path takes you into the forest, and your depth of vision is reduced to that of an 89-year-old man who holds the world record for staring directly into the sun, you know that you've arrived somewhere very special indeed. Ambient lighting and atmospheric fog make this trick work so well, and nowhere does it work better than here, Forlorn Row. Let me know in the comments if you disagree, but I'm pretty sure this is the deepest fog anywhere in Vanilla WoW, and it really helps to convey the unholy aura surrounding this house. It's what you see everywhere in Duskwood to some degree, and it makes the zone feel very unique indeed. Whilst we're on the topic of clever artistic decisions, I have to mention this bridge right at the edge of the zone when you first enter. On the Redridge side, you can see that the lantern still burns brightly, offering warmth and hope if you go that way and leave the horrors of Duskwood behind you. But on the other side, leading deeper into the wood, the lantern is unlit, suggesting that this is as far as anyone would willingly go, that this place is where safety, where the light ends. It's also where you can find your local travelling night elf merchant, offering green items and druid buffs for the low price of 2 fucking gold. What kind of moron would take such a shitty offer? Stick to the roads and you'll eventually find yourself in the town of Darkshire, a name as subtle as a brick to the head, which, by the way, coming from an indigenous English person, doesn't even make any sense, as the word Shire refers to a region, just like in Middle-earth, or actual England, rather than a town or settlement, which is what this place is. Honestly, it would have made a lot more sense if the whole zone was called Darkshire and the town was called Duskwood. Not that you should be taking place name advice from the English, after all, we had a street that was literally called Butthole Road up until a few years ago, but I digress. Darkshire feels very different in my view from Goldshire, Lakeshire, or any of the other mistakenly named settlements across the realm of Stormwind. Maybe it's the way in which the darkness of the forest creeps so close to the edge of the town, or how the fires in the buildings contrast so well with the gloom outside, making you feel a real sense of the warmth of being inside somewhere that you think at least is safe rather than out in the cold. But this place just feels more alive, more realistic than other human towns in game. The NPCs here exist in a living nightmare, where their small corner of the world is beset on all sides and they have no option but to confront the threats arrayed against them because no one else is coming to save them. You have a vast and varied cast of characters in this town, officials, militiamen, outcasts, and even a medium. All have their own agenda, their own ties to this hellish place, and it is these connections which will set you forth on your quests throughout the zone. Death and survival. These are the themes which permeate Duskwood. The people you meet are survivors, every last one of them. Often they are the last remaining members of families seeking redemption or revenge. Your enemies are little different, honestly, saving only in that they have become predators themselves, manipulating the unholy powers which have cursed Duskwood to their own ends. Take Morbant Fell, for example, a necromancer dwelling within an abandoned manor, overlooking a vast cemetery in which his undead minions swarm and multiply? Or what about Abercrombie the Embalmer, a twisted outcast who set his mad genius to the task of creating a monstrous abomination to take vengeance on Darkshire for the death of his wife? And of course, there's the most notorious villain in all of Duskwood, the one, the only, the fallen knight Mor Ladim. Who could forget about this guy? Who could possibly wander the zone of Duskwood, enter Ravenhill Cemetery, and not remember this guy? Right? Right? This place is so cool. Out here with my homie, got sap of the blood face. Fucking hell! No! No! Oh no. Yeah, gouge him, run! Fuck, I'm trapped in the fence! Oh my god, my man here with the clutch gouge. Oh god. He's still following us. No, you'll get leashed, you'll get leashed. He's not getting leashed! He's not getting leashed. Serious? Fine. Oh god, he parried it. Oh no. He's still following us. What the actual fuck? Dude's gonna follow us all the way to Westfall, like, come on. Is he done? Done. He's gone. He's gone. Oh, breathe. Fuck me. What I would say I've enjoyed the most about returning to Duskwood is the blend of chilled out, regular vanilla questing where you have to kill several million of a particularly named mob only to return in the next quest and kill 1,000,000 of their cousins, mixed with the key story quests which advance the plot of the zone in an enjoyable, intriguing way. I had a really good time introducing my girlfriend to Duskwood for the first time whilst I was mowing down zombies in Ravenhill. The experience really stimulated some insightful discussions between the two of us. I mean, I like the aesthetic here. I mean, look at this place. It's very, I'd expect Shaggy and the gang to pop out. Obviously by Shaggy I mean Scooby-Doo, not, you know, Mr. Lova Lova. It's called Forlorn Row. In Yoldi spelling, you know, Yoldi.
It's on a big hill over the cemetery, so...
I know it is, but also look, it goes blue.
Why?
I mean, because it's obviously it's a bit... It's Shartan is in this area. He's up in this bitch. Okay? Satanic rituals. Evil, occultic business going on in here. Beelzebub. That kind of vibe. Yeah? That's why it's gone blue. But you've got a creepy tree. You've got glowing lights outside the house. You've got NPCs called Brain Eaters inside the house. Yeah?
Right.
Like being at a house party in Newcastle on a Saturday night. Full of Brain Eaters. Brain Eaters and Plague Spreaders. Plagues of a sexually transmitted nature.
I told you my first year of uni, which so many
What are you about to say? What are you about to say?
So many people got the clap from each other, we all called it the round of applause.
And that's your joke from Louisa for the day. As usual, much like the rest of my recent experiences starting fresh on this vanilla WoW journey, the world is absolutely packed with players. And considering that most of the people I encountered in Duskwood were between levels 23 to 30, these aren't completely new characters that people are playing for a day or two and then discarding like a used jizz sock. Bet that caught you out. And, as usual, everyone is super helpful, everyone wants to talk, group up and work together. Every MMO aspires to have a healthy, interactive community, but few modern games achieve this. A combination of content which doesn't promote grouping, and which encourages a race-to-the-finish mentality where everyone wants to just rush to endgame rather than enjoy the journey as an equally important part of the game, keeps most modern MMOs from ever really having that sense of an organic community. Vanilla World of Warcraft, however, became the most successful MMO of all time because it gripped people from the very start and never let go, making each new adventure on the road to level 60 feel worthwhile. I think many of the players returning to Vanilla WoW appreciate this core design philosophy which permeates the game. Hell, I think many are choosing to play Vanilla right now because of this design, especially in contrast to Wrath of the Lich King and Retail WoW, which, whilst good games in their own ways, no doubt, are nonetheless very different MMOs to Vanilla. Now, I'm going to make a separate video discussing why so many people are returning in droves to vanilla WoW right now, and this episode is supposed to be focused on my Duskwood experience. So let me just conclude this section by saying that there were a ton of Alliance levelers exploring the zone alongside me, which made it feel even better. And yes, of course, I did add another friend to my list. Duskwood is also a place where I first encountered a lot of max level gankers from the Horde, who obviously had no reason to be in Duskwood other than to make some mischief. I'm honestly not bothered for two reasons. Firstly, it kinda added to the tense atmosphere of the zone, knowing that if you walked too openly on the roads, you'd risk getting blasted by a vile deviant in warlord gear. And secondly, I can't really be mad considering that I myself used to do this all the time. I miss the Horde. I also really can't blame the Hordes for being a bit salty and wanting to take out their impotent rage on low-level Alliance players, because when you compare the questing experience in an Alliance leveling zone like Duskwood to, say, the Barrens or, God forbid, the fucking vanilla Stone Talon Mountains, it just doesn't compare. I've heard it said before that Blizzard designed the Eastern Kingdoms first and only got to working on Kalimdor, where most of the Horde content is found, when they were pushed for time at the end of the development cycle. I don't know for certain if that's true, but it certainly feels like it here. This is the first time I have leveled an Alliance character in WoW since joining the game in 2008, so my experience is overwhelmingly weighted towards the Horde, which I've played for most of that 15-year period. I had no idea how much better the questing experience is for the Alliance. The zones feel more distinct from each other, the quests are more interesting, and overall it just feels like a more polished and content-rich experience than anything I experienced on the Horde. You don't know how good you've got it, Alliance. This is why we kill you. Now, before we wrap up, I just want to take a moment to discuss some interesting elements of the lore of Duskwood and how concepts like the Light and Necromancy are handled in-game, because I think this is vastly different to how these elements work in retail WoW, and it's a great demonstration of how different the vanilla and retail games are at this point. The Light in vanilla World of Warcraft feels like a real religion, a holy force that can be drawn upon by those with the virtue and conviction to stand against the darkness and fight on behalf of those too weak to defend themselves. The main story of Duskwood builds up to you confronting the powerful necromancer Morbant Fell, who has surrounded himself with a horde of undead monsters raised from the desecrated corpses of Raven Hill. In order to even face this enemy and stand a chance of defeating him, you embark on an epic quest to recover a cache of light-forged iron bars sunk during the Second War off the coast of Menethil Harbour. These are then forged by a master smith into a holy weapon imbued with the light and capable of weakening the necromancer's defences. I absolutely love this. It captures the idea of standing against the darkness, of being a holy blade drawn against the enemies of life and light. It feels impactful, weighty, and it makes me want to play a paladin. I want to explore this theme for myself because of how well crafted it is. But let's compare that to the way the light works in retail WoW today. A paladin in retail World of Warcraft, to me at least, simply feels like the melee fighter who uses yellow magic for every single spell and attack as opposed to a different colour. There is no sense of drawing on a holy power because there is no holy power really. The light is just another cosmic power source that a group of people choose to utilise instead of, say, fell magic or shadow magic, all of which have been explained away to the point of lacking any mystery, which is exactly what both religion and magic need to feel compelling in a fantasy setting. This is one of many examples in which I feel that retail WoW has lost its sense of, well, fantasy, but we'll save that discussion for another video. As for Necromancy, one thing that stuck out for me in Duskwood was the complete absence of any references to the Scourge. This was a real revelation for me because outside of vanilla WoW, the concept of necromancy and death as a force in the world is associated entirely with the Scourge, or, thanks to Shadowlands, the Maw and all that nonsense. In Duskwood though, the presence of the undead is due to a necromancer who is not stated to have any connection at all to the Scourge, and is instead an ally of the Dark Riders, who basically come from Karazhan. By the way, let's all have a momentary chuckle at Blizzard not bothering to hide the blatant plagiarism this time and actively referring to these dudes in this text as Black Riders. You know, I'm all for it. Copy the shit out of Lord of the Rings, then you won't end up with the bullshit death lore we got in Shadowlands. Boil it, mash it, stick it in the fucking bin. Similarly to the way the light is handled, this situation where you have rogue necromancers running around resurrecting dudes' grandmas without obtaining a license from the proper authorities in Northrend is something I find very refreshing. It adds another layer of depth to necromancy in the game and presents it as a dark school of magic which was being explored by evil wizards long before the Lich King got his magic spiky hat and started bossing everyone about. I like knowing that this game is nuanced enough to present regions which for various reasons would suffer from the presence of the undead without it just being, oh yeah, the Scourge did it. And that makes total sense for Duskwood because it's literally on the opposite end of the continent from where the Scourge were. And in this case the tragedy of Duskwood feels much more unique because it's not just an extension of a larger disconnected story. Ultimately, my adventure in Duskwood has not only been a pleasure to play through, but it's also served to once again cement my belief that vanilla is the absolute best version of World of Warcraft. I can honestly say that I will be really sad to leave this zone, but for now I don't need to be worried about that, because I'm still stuck in this fucking chimney. Will somebody get me out of here, please? Thanks for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I've had an amazing time in Duskwood, and getting to share my thoughts about the design and lore of the zone, as well as my own experiences, it's been really fun. I want to express my gratitude for all the support this series has gotten so far, knowing that you're all either coming back to experience this journey for yourself, or that it's filling you with nostalgia when you're not playing. It's just a great feeling for me. I have no idea where we'll go in the next episode, but I'm very excited to share it with you, and I hope you are too. Till then, be well guys, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.